Transgender students could soon be restricted from playing high school sports in North Carolina. We're looking into how likely this bill could become law.
A business owner says the hookah lounge shooting that left 4 wounded and 1 person dead could have been avoided. You'll hear from a business owner who says that hookah lounge was a time bomb ready to explode.
Tomorrow is the WRAL weather alert day, and the severe risk has expanded when you'll see the first round of rain and storms.
Today's unprecedented party shakeup also creating a shift in legislative power. Our live conversation with a local political expert about what could happen next with important legislation in North Carolina.
Right now at 7, we are tracking this dangerous system bringing storms our way, and some of them could be severe. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Deborah Morgan. By the time this line arrives in our area tomorrow, we will be watching for damaging wind and hail. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking the timeline for this threat. Kat?
These storms expected to move through between about 4 and 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. 3 o'clock, we're still mostly dry here on Futurecast, but by 4 or 5 o'clock for the evening commute, we could just begin to see a few of these thunderstorms popping up. Heavy rain, strong winds, and hail would be the concern. It's not going to be on a widespread basis, though, not expecting the severe threat like areas are seeing to our west. 6, 7 o'clock, we could see some of those showers and storms move into Wake County and the Triangle. In our eastern counties like Rocky Mount, Goldsboro, and Clinton between about 8 and 10 p.m. tomorrow night. By midnight, Futurecast shows the radar quieting down, but I think that we'll see rain blossom on the radar overnight into early Friday morning. The storm system that we are tracking brings a level 1 threat for severe weather with it, and because of that, we have declared tomorrow a WRAL weather alert day. I'll have a closer look at how long the rain could linger into your weekend coming up.
A lot for us to watch. All right, Kat, thank you.
I'm Mark Boyle in the Live Center as we watch that strong line of storms move our direction. There have been several delays and cancellations in Houston and Dallas. Some of those flights from here at RDU. So tomorrow could be another slow day out of the airport if you're traveling. Meanwhile, some new video, and this is from Illinois. You can see some of the storm damage there. Some very long line storms all the way up and down the United States. That video you're looking at right there is from Louisville, Kentucky this evening. And these storms are expected to continue through the evening. We'll certainly monitor how things change overnight and into the morning hours tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you. We are following breaking news. A new bill would ban transgender girls from playing on girls' high school sports teams in North Carolina. WRAL's Aaron Thomas is live outside the Legislative Building in downtown Raleigh with the latest developments that could result in sweeping changes to high school sports eligibility. Aaron?
Yeah, Gerald, we are talking about the Fairness in Women Sports Act filed in both the State House and State Senate. Also filed, we're talking about a bill titled the School Athletic Transparency Bill, which also aims to put restrictions on transgender athletes. As it stands, rules from the North Carolina High School Athletic Association allow student athletes who identify as transgender an opportunity to play sports based on their gender identification. But they do have to go through a lengthy process for eligibility. This new Fairness in Women's Sports Act says, quote, sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Today I spoke with WRAL's North Carolina Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie about the likelihood of the bill's passing now that Republicans have a supermajority, with Representative Tricia Cotham announcing her departure from the Democratic Party.
Representative Cotham's change to the GOP will, of course, make it easier for lawmakers to pass these bills over the objections of Governor Roy Cooper, because Republicans now have a veto-proof majority in each chamber.
Certainly a lot of activity happening in this legislative building behind me. In addition to these bills we just referenced, there's also another bill that tackles transgender participation in sports. And you also have this new bill that wants to prevent minors from receiving gender-affirming care. On our late news, we're going to be having reaction from both sides of the aisle and have a deeper dive into these bills at hand. Gerald?
All right, Aaron, thank you. It was an unprecedented day in North Carolina politics. A high-profile Democrat officially switched parties to become a Republican, as Aaron and Laura mentioned. This morning at GOP headquarters, Representative Tricia Cotham announced her departure from the Democratic Party. Surrounded by Republican lawmakers, she said she changed because she was being treated poorly by Democrats. Cotham claims she was shunned, harassed, even bullied.
I've suffered many attacks since I've been up here, from Democrats in the party, from blasting me on Twitter to calling me names, to going after my family, going after my children. That is wrong. And I will not stand for that. I will not be bullied.
Cotham also said she was punished for being a free thinker and that she refused to be controlled by Democrats.
Cotham's former fellow Democrats are calling on her to resign. At the Democratic Party headquarters, party leaders and advocates called the representative's actions a betrayal, saying the people who voted her into office deserve better.
They deserve to know who they're voting for and what they're going to stand for when they're running for office and when they're put into a position of power. And that's not what Tricia Cotham has allowed the voters of 112 to do today.
The state Democratic Party says Cotham's choice to switch parties puts women's reproductive freedom in jeopardy statewide. You can watch Cotham's remarks in their entirety on WRAL.com. And coming up in just a few minutes, a political science expert joins us for a live interview about the massive implications of this and what's next.
Tonight, this new video is getting a lot of attention on social media. It shows the chaos inside and outside the EV lounge in Fayetteville during a shooting that wounded 4 people, killing another. Our Fayetteville reporter Gilbert Bays spoke with a business owner who said he told authorities weeks ago that the lounge was a nuisance that needed to be shut down.
Well, that shooting happened Sunday night on Yadkin Road, and since then, I've been contacted by a business owner who's concerned, who said he notified police, ALE, and city council members that hookah lounge was a time bomb ready to explode.
Let's go!
A chaotic scene unfolded Sunday night after shots rang out inside the EV lounge on Yadkin Road. You can see patrons running for their lives. Then outside, you can hear at least 6 shots fired in the parking lot. 30-year-old Anthony Bradshaw died at the scene. 4 others suffered gunshot wounds. A local businessman who didn't want to be identified says he's driven by on several weekends and was alarmed by what he saw.
I mean, it was blatant. There's security, they remained inside. There's weed smoking going on inside and outside the location. You could see customers with weapons in their pockets.
He sent emails and made phone calls to the police tip line, city council members, and fire marshal, and got no response.
Those things all add up, combined with the 4 recent fights that occurred at that location in their parking lot. There was a fight every weekend. Nothing happened. All of this built up, and nobody acted.
I checked with Fayetteville police. They checked their records.
Based on my check, I only see that there were 2 calls, and those were made back in February. And then after that, there's no other calls until the day of the homicide on April the 2nd.
What were those calls for back then?
Back in February, it was a stolen motor vehicle report, and there was reports of a fight.
3 of the 4 wounded victims have been released from the hospital. Our caller believes none of this had to happen.
It's a shame. We could have prevented a loss of life, but we could have definitely intervened. The city could have intervened. It's a shame that somebody had to die as a result, and I'm just wondering if anything will change going forward.
Now, the one victim who was in critical condition remains in critical condition in the hospital. Police still asking anyone with information about what happened Sunday night to give them a call. In Fayetteville, Gilbert Bays, WRAL News.
Hundreds of students walked out of class today in Durham protesting gun violence. Middle and high schoolers at the Durham School of the Arts were part of the demonstration. The protest was spurred by last week's shooting at a Nashville school that left 3 children and 3 adults dead. Students organized the walkout with support from staff. The principal at the school tells WRAL administrators stand with their students, and this issue affects everyone.
Still ahead, a major film studio is coming to a small town in our area. The major boost it could bring to the entire state. And what's on the horizon for the film industry in North Carolina. Plus,
Go Triangle is looking at re-implementing bus fares after the Transit Authority says it would lose $2 million a year without them. Coming up, why some people say they hope the rides remain free.
Welcome back right now. Coming up on 712, I'm Mark Boyle in the Live Center, getting some new information about a social media threat at Rogers Her Middle School out in Durham. The principal sending out a notification to parents this evening about increased security on campus tomorrow. Here's part of that notification and the new information we have right now. It says, we are investigating an alleged threat to the school that was posted on social media today and have found no evidence to support the threat at this time. Certainly some good news to report, but again, they are adding extra law enforcement. So if you drop your student off at school tomorrow morning and see some of those police. They're there just as an extra layer of protection. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Mark. The fallout continues over North Carolina Representative Tricia Cotham's decision to switch parties and join the GOP. Today, the former Democrat from Mecklenburg County made some serious accusations about why she chose to do it.
Go on Twitter right now. See all the threats against me. See the hypocrisy. See the attack lines, inciting, encouraging violence on me. They certainly will slice and dice you in a second with malicious, vicious, untrue rumors.
Well, now let's bring in the chair of the politics department at Catawba College, Michael Bitzer. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. First, let's get your reaction to Representative Cotham's claims and the emotional responses at times today during today's announcement.
I think certainly in this toxic environment that our politics can devolve into, social media, whether for good or ill, can really escalate the issues, and people take things a bit too far. In fact, sometimes extremely too far. And so I think that this was an honest rebuke to those that have been attacking her over the past several days now. And she wanted to air what she saw as her perceived attacks on her and to let the folks know that this was unacceptable. And so I think certainly in this polarized political environment, politicians are going to be on the receiving end of negative comments. But certainly this was apparently something that pushed her to make this decision to switch parties.
She was elected as a Democrat just 5 months ago. Now Democrats are calling on her to resign. Do you expect to see that happen? And do they have a point?
Well, I think certainly they do have a point. Her district is a strong Democratic district, about 60% Democratic, but this is up to Representative Cotham to make the decision. There is no vehicle or mechanism by which to remove her from office based on what the voters want or what party activists want. So my expectation is that she would serve throughout her term. Remember, we have new maps that are going to be drawn for the State House, Senate, and the Congressional maps. So we will just have to see if a district is drawn to benefit her out of Mecklenburg County, or if she decides to perhaps pursue some other offices.
You said your students wanted to talk about this in class today. What were they asking? What did they say?
Well, they asked, some basic questions. Is this a thing that happens? How rare is it? And certainly party switching has occurred. We have seen this in North Carolina for the General Assembly. Oftentimes when people feel that their political home is no longer a home to them, they will look elsewhere. And this kind of very public, consequential party switch certainly has policy implications on it. We'll have to wait and see what her votes on several key issues are going to be like, whether she holds true to what she has done in the past or if she has adopted a new ideological and philosophical belief. But certainly this is not out of the realm of the ordinary in terms of party switching. The voters have sorted themselves, politicians sort themselves, the parties have sorted themselves. We have become very much ideologically homogeneous, oftentimes within the two major parties.
It'll be interesting to see what the fallout is from this. Professor Michael Bitzer, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Take a look at this map of Go Triangle routes, the green buses that take you from city to city throughout the Triangle. There's a lot going on here, but right now, rides on any of these routes are free, and they've been free since the pandemic started. But that could change soon, and these routes could also expand. WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live from Raleigh with how you can voice your opinion on this. Brett?
Yeah, Jared, Go Triangle, they stopped collecting bus fares during the pandemic to help those hardest hit by economic hardships, as well as to limit some contact. But now that the pandemic is over, the Transit Authority is looking at ways to increase revenues to keep these buses running on time. For so many people, a bus ride is essential for everyday life.
I use the bus every day, go to Chapel Hill, UC Hospital.
Over the last 3 years, these rides on Go Triangle buses have been free. Officials with the Transit Authority tell me without those fares, Go Triangle would lose out on about $2 million a year over the next 5 years. Money they say is essential to providing reliable services.
We're looking at all different levels of revenues to fulfill our budget needs.
Through an online survey, Go Triangle wants your input. Among other things, it asks how often you use the bus system and whether or not you'd be willing to once again pay a bus fare.
Now that we don't have the CARES Act funding coming in, all our costs have gone up since COVID hit. So we've added about $1 million in labor costs.
Some riders are hopeful Go Triangle remains free and that other revenue streams can make up the difference.
Put yourself in our shoes, man. Put yourself in the shoes of the ones that's out here that's struggling, that's trying to make ends meet.
Go Triangle has about a $40 million operating budget. Without these bus fares, they'd have to fill that gap with some sort of other revenue source to make that work. But they do have that online survey that we talked about that's available right now. It's been out for a little while now. It does close tomorrow. So if you want your voice heard, go to this story on WRAL.com.
All right, Brett Neese live in Raleigh. Thank you, Brett. Two of the most beautiful places to be on a night like this, Beaufort behind me and Lake Gaston behind meteorologist Kat Campbell. You know, Kat, it's a shame to talk about rain on a night like this.
I know so many people are out and about at the Point Restaurant in Lake Gaston, finally excited on the summer-like evening to get their boats out. I mean, look at this. Somebody even went tubing. They've got a tube out on their boat. Some nice boats, too. Just a gorgeous evening, but tomorrow evening, it's not going to look like this. This is our storm system that's approaching from the west. I did want to point out a difference today. Yesterday, we did have several tornadoes reported, but today it's been more of a hail and damaging wind threat. All of the orange boxes are severe thunderstorm watches. Yellows are severe thunderstorm warnings, but no tornado watches or warnings in effect as of right now. For us, that would be the concern, wind and hail tomorrow. Rain chances, storm chances, 50% during the day, 60% tomorrow night, and 90% rain chances as Friday as well as Saturday. Sunday, still looking good for Easter, just that 20% chance, but a lot of rain leading up to Easter. In fact, we just got a new update in, and it actually shows an area of potentially 4 to even 5 inches of rain just southwest of our viewing area. We're talking 1 to 3 inches. We will let you know if that potential goes up, but this should be a good soaking for us. Futurecast continues to show dry weather during the first half of the day tomorrow. Looks like these storms would move from west to east between about 4 and 10 o'clock. I do think that our eastern counties will see more rain than what we're seeing right here, but I wanted to show this model in particular because I think it does a good job showing what's likely to happen overnight tomorrow night into Friday. We see rain blossoming again on the radar, not the severe weather threat overnight. That should end after 10 o'clock, but we do see rain filling back in, and it's going to stick with us on Friday. Much of the day, we could see a steady, light to moderate rain, even heavy in spots on and off. It's going to be a soaker on Friday. Just a completely different look outside, a different feel than what we have this evening. So just try to make the most of the next hour or two while you still have a little bit of daylight out there. Sunset 7:40 today. Tomorrow, a WRAL weather alert day due to the chance for isolated storms with damaging wind gusts and hail. After that, a big temperature drop from 86 to 56 by Friday, just 50 on Saturday and Sunday. Looks pretty good for Easter. At least it looks like the one drier day. Should be in good shape if you want to get in some Easter egg hunts Sunday, especially during the afternoon when the sunshine should be back out.
Sooner or later, we're going to get rid of that rain deficit, Kat. It's amazing that we still have any bit of it.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, sometimes when you get in this rain deficit, it can be feast or famine. That appears it may be the case over the next couple of days.
It really does. Thank you, Kat.
The movie industry has found a new home in a small Nash County town. A major studio is preparing to start productions. Learn how it could benefit the town of Spring Hope as well as the whole state. Spring Hope is now ready for the movies now that a major film producer announced plans to build a major studio near the Nash County town.
Now, this could be a big lift for that area's growth and economy. As WRL's Chris Lovingood explains, it could also benefit the entire state.
The Nash County town of Spring Hope is about to make it big in the movies. A major film producer, Robert Rittberger with Ascent Studios, was attracted by the potential.
We really think North Carolina has a lot to offer. The studio came out of me coming to North Carolina on a specific project and just seeing the potential.
State leaders and the Film Commission have long worked behind the scenes to build their studio here. Incentives include 25% tax grant plus a new bill in the House allowing for a 10% bump for filming outside of major metropolitan areas.
It is something quite significant that will definitely be a win for North Carolina.
The economic impact for Spring Hope will be as vast and as large as anyone could imagine.
Spring Hope Mayor Kyle Pritchard believes it will also be a great benefit for Nash County. They already have an antique store filled with movie props.
Something as simple as a Coke sign.
Or a suit of armor, even a Turkish incense burner. Barbershop owner Tammy Sullivan says this is great news.
Yeah, because it will help this town. I think it will be a good thing for our area.
Mayor Pritchard says it'll transform the area. But
on a local level, we want to make sure that Spring Hope stays exactly what the residents want it to be.
Rittberger can't wait to get started.
We've got a film coming up in the next month and a half that's going to be the first one shooting at the studio. I'm convincing that North Carolina is really the right place to make their film.
I'm Chris Lovingood, WRAL News.
Mayor Kyle Pritchard says they're working with the studio and the state leaders to plan a grand opening.
We could be extras.
Sure.
Completion of the studio is scheduled for late this year. Now we have an update tonight on our favorite goat and dog duo.
You remember Cinnamon and Felix? Well, they are bonded. They have been for a long time. Wake County Animal Center was able to find a forever home for them together. They're finally on their new adventure with their new family in Johnston County, and they look like two peas in a pod.
I love how they're so close.
Yeah,
That's
it is
love.
an odd, connection, but
It's beautiful.
you bring them up early, and animals can live with other animals.
Have a good life in Johnston County.
Yep. Thank you for watching and making WRAL your first choice for local news.
Our next newscast is at 10 on Fox 50 and at 11 on WRAL. Have a great night. We'll see you then.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.